Welcome to China Truths. Today we will take a look at the U.S. policies towards Chinese vehicles and related technologies, specifically. U.S. proposes ban on Chinese vehicle software and hardware. U.S. locks in China tariff hikes on EVs, chips, and steel. U.S. House passes bill to block tax credits for EVs with Chinese batteries. Now, let's dive into the details. It's all covered in today's China Truths. U.S. proposes ban on Chinese vehicle software and hardware. The White House announced on September 23 a proposed ban on connected vehicle technologies in the United States from countries of concern, particularly China, citing a national security threat. Connected vehicle technology refers to short-range communications that enable cars to sense nearby objects and exchange information with other nearby vehicles. This includes Bluetooth, cellular, satellite, Wi-Fi modules, and automated driving systems. According to the White House, these technologies, which are meant to promote safety, now pose new and growing threats. The White House announcement says, these technologies include computer systems that control vehicle movement and collect sensitive driver and passenger data, as well as cameras and sensors that enable automated driving systems and record detailed information about American infrastructure. The Commerce Department has concluded that location technologies could be used to capture information about or disrupt critical infrastructure, as a foreign adversary could remotely control such vehicles to use them for surveillance and data collection. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo said at a press briefing on September 23, when foreign adversaries build software to make a vehicle, that means it can be used for surveillance, can be remotely controlled, which threatens the privacy and safety of Americans on the road. In an extreme situation, a foreign adversary could shut down or take control of all their vehicles operating in the United States all at the same time, causing crashes, blocking roads. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan highlighted the scale of the risk. Sullivan told the same briefing, with potentially millions of vehicles on the road, each with 10 to 15-year lifespans, the risk of disruption and sabotage increases dramatically. The United States now considers the Chinese government to be its top cybersecurity threat, and the intelligence community has revealed in public hearings in recent years the extent to which China has conducted ongoing cyber attacks on the United States. The Commerce Department has identified certain Chinese and Russian technologies used in connected vehicles that pose particularly acute threats and is currently working on a rule to ban the import or sale of cars with systems designed, developed, manufactured, or supplied by entities with a sufficient nexus to the PRC, or People's Republic of China, or Russia. According to the White House, the department began collecting public comments on the issue on March 1 as part of its assessment of the risk level of these technologies. If the rule is finalized, the software ban would take effect beginning with model year 2027 cars, and the hardware prohibitions would take effect for model year 2030 cars, or on January 1, 2029, for units without a model year. Car manufacturers told the Bureau that they often do not know the source of specific component suppliers, and the delayed implementation schedule is meant to give manufacturers time to do due diligence. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation, a group representing major automakers such as GM, Toyota, Hyundai, and Volkswagen, warned that changing software and hardware could take time. The Commerce Department is considering exemptions for the final rule to minimize supply chain disruptions. Under this new rule, Ford would have to halt imports of the Lincoln Nautilus, and GM, the Buick Envision. Both models are produced in China. Liz Cannon, who heads the Commerce Department's Information and Communications Technology Office, says, "We anticipate at this point that any vehicle that is manufactured in China and sold in the U.S. would fall within the prohibitions." She added, "GM and Ford are aware that going forward, production in China for the United States market would need to be shut down in China and moved elsewhere." The proposed ban follows the Biden administration's recent tariff hike for Chinese electric vehicles or EVs from 25% to 100%. Initially proposed in May, the new tariff rate will take effect at the end of this week and is seen as preemptive, as the United States currently imports few Chinese EVs. While China exports few cars to the United States, it exports many car parts. The Coalition for Reimagined Mobility, which includes industry executives and private and public sector leaders in technology, wrote in a letter addressed to the Commerce Department that Chinese suppliers dominate the production of many essential components for connected vehicles. The letter says, in 2023, Mexico was the largest auto parts supplier to the United States, with China ranking third, but China was also the second largest auto parts supplier for Mexico. Most Chinese companies are Tier 2 and Tier 3 suppliers but are steadily expanding their market share as Chinese car exports increase globally and progress towards manufacturing more technologically advanced components. The European Union recently completed an investigation that concluded that the Chinese government had subsidized the Chinese EV industry to the point of oversupply, resulting in cars being dumped at below-market prices, unbalancing the global market. These state-influenced lower prices, part of the Chinese government's Made in China 2025 initiative, have helped Chinese manufacturers gain a foothold in the global supply chain, affecting the connected vehicle market as well. Ouster, an American light detection and ranging or LiDAR company, pointed out that the leading LiDAR suppliers are US and Chinese companies and that the products made by Chinese firms sell at an average price of $600 to $800 versus an average price of $800 to $1,000 for non-Chinese suppliers. According to stock exchange information, leading Chinese LiDAR suppliers include Hesai, Xi'an, Livox, and RoboSense. Yole Group, a technology market analyst, reported that Chinese LiDAR manufacturers controlled 73% of the market in 2022. According to Ouster, LiDAR is aiding and replacing traditional sensing technologies such as cameras and radar. The technology is able to map the environment in 3D with precision, within millimeters of accuracy, and in all lighting conditions. According to Ouster, LiDAR sensors are inherently networked devices, capturing and transmitting a continuous stream of data, typically ranging from 100 to 1,000 megabytes per second. The LiDAR data are transmitted via an Ethernet port to a system or device that is often connected to the internet. Septon elaborated on the risks of LiDAR technologies in the wrong hands, such as the interception of LiDAR-collected data during transmission, which might be used for surveillance, tracking, sabotage, or privacy violations. If data is manipulated during transmission, it could also result in unsafe driving conditions or even accidents, as attacks would attempt to spoof sensor data or jam sensor signals. In the final rule, the Commerce Department's Bureau of Industry and Security is targeting vehicle connectivity systems and automated driving systems, which control the LiDAR technology. Cybersecurity firm Upstream in its annual report for 2024 found that high-scale cyber attacks doubled in the past year, with 295 attacks on connected vehicles or associated platforms affecting millions of users. U.S. locks and China tariff hikes on EVs, chips, and steel. According to U.S. Trade Representative Katherine Tai, tariff increases will target Beijing's harmful policies and practices. The Biden administration confirmed on August 13 that sharp tariff hikes on imports from China, including a 100% duty on electric vehicles, will take effect on September 27. The Office of the U.S. Trade Representative or USTR confirmed most of the increased rates that the White House had announced in May, with some adjustments to the list. Beginning on September 27, the tariff on electric vehicles imported from China will quadruple from 25% to 100%. The USTR also confirmed a 100% tariff on needles and syringes, 50% tariffs on semiconductors, solar cells, face masks, and surgical gloves, and 25% tariffs on EV and other batteries, battery parts, critical minerals, steel and aluminum products, and ship-to-shore cranes. Some of the increases will take effect on September 27, while others will take effect on January 1 of each of the next 2 years. Announcing the decision on September 13, U.S. Trade Representative Katherine Tai said in a statement that the tariff increases will target Beijing's harmful policies and practices and underscore the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to standing up for American workers and businesses in the face of unfair trade practices. Lael Brainerd, the top White House economic advisor, told Reuters that the decision was made to ensure that the U.S. EV industry diversifies away from China's dominant supply chain. She said such tough, targeted tariffs are needed to counteract China's state-driven subsidies and technology transfer policies, which have led to overinvestment and excess production capacity. However, Washington is investing hundreds of billions of dollars in its own tax subsidies to develop domestic EV, solar, and semiconductor sectors. Brainerd said, "The 100% tariff on electric vehicles here does reflect the very significant unfair cost advantage that Chinese electric vehicles, in particular, are using to dominate car markets at a breathtaking pace in other parts of the world. That's not going to take place here under the vice president's and the president's leadership." The Biden administration first announced the tariff hikes in May after the USTR, following a 4-year review of Trump-era tariffs on Chinese goods, recommended that President Joe Biden keep all the tariffs and add more. In May, the USTR tightened exemptions from the tariffs, ending the exclusion of tariff lines in cases in which comments didn't show that the products were unavailable outside of China or didn't show that further extension of a tariff could aid efforts to shift sourcing out of China in the near future. U.S. House passes bill to block tax credits for EVs with Chinese batteries. The U.S. House of Representatives has passed a bill to block consumer tax credits for electric vehicles or EV with batteries that involve Chinese entities in the supply chain. The legislation is the last of the Republican-led China Week that started on September 9. During the week, the House passed 28 China-related bills focused on addressing the threat to the United States posed by the Chinese government in 2 areas: technology and influence. The End Chinese Dominance of Electric Vehicles in America Act passed on September 12 by a 217 to 192 vote. 7 Democrats voted for the bill. The debate on the House floor centered on how to strike a balance in pushing more EV ownership to help protect the environment, reducing supply chain reliance on China, and ensuring that U.S. taxpayer-funded credits don't go to Chinese entities. The White House opposed the bill, saying it would effectively burden taxpayers and undermine the administration's climate action efforts by adding new, unclear, and unworkable restrictions to the Inflation Reduction Act or the IRA. The IRA provides a consumer tax credit of up to $7,500 for buying qualified electric vehicles. Some Democrats took a similar stance to that of the White House on the legislation. Representative Judy Chu, a Democrat from California, said during the debate that the bottom line is this bill will hurt our transition to clean vehicles. Representative Carol Miller, a Republican from West Virginia, defended her legislation on the House floor. She said her bill would ensure the Chinese companies can no longer be the ultimate beneficiary of the luxury electric vehicle tax credits. Speaking about the EV-related technology, she said that the Biden administration has been more concerned about bowing to radical environmentalists than in actually helping develop these technologies right here in America. In an emailed statement to the Epoch Times after the bill's passage, Miller said that the bill was meant to stop Chinese influence in our supply chain. The lawmaker said that the Biden-Harris administration has put out regulations on the electric vehicle tax credit that have excluded some of the inputs used to make EVs, giving China unlimited access to the U.S. supply chain. This is devastating for American manufacturers and our national security. House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican from Louisiana, praised the bill. Mr. Johnson said American taxpayer dollars should not be used for an electric vehicle credit in an industry propped up by China. The Chinese government has provided tens of billions of dollars in subsidies to the EV industry after identifying the sector as strategic in its Made in China 2025 industrial policy. The Chinese Communist Party also doubled down at its annual plenary meeting, which concluded in March, calling EVs one of the new productive forces. EVs are seen as one of the products that China is dumping onto the rest of the world. Based on local government plans for the 5 years from 2021 to 2025, the China Center for Information Industry Development, an institution under the Chinese Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, expects Chinese EV production capacity to reach 36 million in 2025. With 15 million domestic Chinese EV sales forecasted for 2025, excess Chinese EVs will reach 21 million next year. In May, President Joe Biden quadrupled tariffs on Chinese EVs to 100% from 25%. Lael Brainerd, director of the National Economic Council, told reporters at a call ahead of the tariff announcement that China's using the same playbook it has before to power its own growth at the expense of others by continuing to invest despite excess Chinese capacity and flooding global markets with exports that are underpriced due to unfair practices. As the Biden administration pushes for more EV sales as part of the transition to renewable energy, the U.S. Congress and the general public have become more aware of China's monopoly in the industry and wary of China benefiting indirectly from IRA incentives funded by U.S. taxpayers. Ford's deal to license EV technology from Chinese battery giant Contemporary Amperex Technology Company Limited or CATL was one of the high-profile cases. In February 2023, Ford announced a new $3.5 billion EV plant in Marshall, Michigan, 100 miles west of Detroit, in partnership with CATL. Experts said the business plan would not work with billions of IRA manufacturing credits that would benefit China. As congressional pressure mounted in questioning the EV factory's eligibility for tax credits, Ford halted the plant's construction in September 2023, citing insufficient confidence in the facility's ability to run competitively. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.